Hi, my name is Brian Golick. I'm a music producer, music technology creator, performer, user of MaxMSP. I make a lot of ambient music, but more recently I've been focused on making more beat-oriented electronic music. And my main focus is trying to build sets that can be performed in what to me is an authentic way, which basically means like performing electronic music, whether it's ambient or beat-driven stuff that requires me, the performer, to like actually be engaged with the music and do stuff on stage and actually create music live, performatively, improvisationally, even instead of just going on stage and pressing play on heavily pre-recorded material or even DJing. So that's kind of like that's what I do in a nutshell. My current project is really focused on, like I said, more beat-driven electronic music, IDM, you might say. I'm kind of in the developmental stages of creating these sets that I eventually want to perform live on stage somewhere. And in the process of developing these sets, I've been trying things, experimenting with different approaches, different technologies, different templates. And today I wanted to share something specific that I was trying out, talk about it a little bit, talk about a change of perspective that I had in the process of experimenting with this idea and developing it and growing it. So the idea was to have the ability to play different instruments in the set by hovering my mouse over a certain area on the screen and then being able to press keys on the keyboard to trigger notes on that instrument. And the whole crux of the idea is that the mouse hovering action is what opens that instrument to input, and this would be like, as opposed to clicking a button somewhere on the screen to like select the instrument, which sounds fine, but like just that action of having to like click something on the screen actually takes a significant amount of like your time and focus, as opposed to just being able to quickly locate the mouse cursor somewhere. Everything I do is specifically like laptop focused. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I want to do everything from my laptop. I don't even want to use MIDI controllers. I've bought so many over the years, and they end up just sitting in the corner collecting dust. There's just something about them, having to plug them in, having to set them up. The fact that you can't take them to coffee shops, which is where I spend probably most of my time developing my work. I just want to work off the laptop. And kind of my whole shtick is like making the laptop as performative as it can possibly be. Just trackpad and QWERTY keyboard. But yeah, I got this idea coded up in Max, and I got it up and running. It worked really well. It was super cool. I could bounce around different instruments and play notes on them very, very quickly. But what I realized was that I was just playing the same things like again and again, and effectively I was using it as like a writing tool, and I would write different motifs, different themes on the various instruments, and then I would just be playing those like in time with the music, and it would be occupying my time essentially. And preventing me from being able to do other things in the set while these notes are being played. like if there was a theme on a synth instrument, especially if it was like something that would take more time, with like notes that would kind of appear over the course of like a measure or two or three. Now that's like occupying my hands and my attention, and I wouldn't be able to be doing other things like shaping the tone of that instrument, or like creating changes in the percussion that's going on, or the other instruments, dropping the bass in and out, whatever it is that I would like normally want to do. And what I kind of realize is like that approach sort of defeats the point for me. Like, especially when I'd be just playing the same motifs or themes just over and over again. It's like, that might as well be automated. Originally I was resistant to that idea because, again, the whole thing is like I want to be able to be actively doing stuff on the laptop to make the performance authentic, and it's tempting to want to play notes, but I think that approach is so limiting, and kind of goes back to something I knew very early on, which is that if you're playing individual notes on individual instruments, you're basically completely tied up doing that, and you can only play one instrument at a time. And so if you're trying to make a band's worth of music, a set's worth of music, an orchestra's worth of music, you can't just like play all the instruments simultaneously. They need to be automated, whether they're playing just like a repeating motif, a repeating loop, or something that's more, algorithmically driven and subject to randomization. The instruments kind of need to play themselves. And so something like a motif needs to be mostly just automated, honestly. And there's kind of like a fear there where it's like, oh, if I automate that, like what am I going to be doing, right? But in truth, it frees up the hands and the minds to do so many other things. So like as that motif is playing, I can be like shaping the tone of the synth that's playing it, making it louder, softer if I'm trying to build energy or reduce energy. And then I can also be playing the other instruments. Like I said, like I can drop the bass in at a specific time. I can be switching up the percussion beat, pulling things in and out, making changes elsewhere. And that is kind of where I think I want to be for this type of work, is like playing the role of more of like the conductor. One idea I have to repurpose the whole like mouse hovering idea, because I think that's still really useful. Instead of playing notes, I can use that to select different motifs, particularly in the realm of percussion, where I want to be able to, switch up the kick pattern, switch up the snare pattern, drop the hi-hats in and out, the shaker, whatever, very, very quickly. I think what I want to do is have that mouse hover action select basically which percussive element I'm focused on in that split second, whether it's the kick or the snare or the shaker, and then have keys kind of universally work within those elements to select different patterns, to just turn them on and off, and maybe some other things too. That's kind of just a bunch of rambling. Haven't really made one of these type of videos before, but I'm not sure I know anyone else who's really trying to make such a directed focus on laptop performance based music. But if you are and you watch this video, or if you just have anything to say, really leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know what you think of my ideas. And yeah, If you watched this far, thank you. Bye.